You know, this is one of the conversations that feels like we can actually have it every week, because there's been an appetite for it. I know that we might currently in South Africa be listening to the Sona, speech by the president. I'm a person who, politically, I'm not that quite well inclined. Somebody asked me today if Goko, we're gonna do a stream, and are we gonna be live? And because the president is talking, and I thought it was his normal update of COVID, but it wasn't. It was the Sona 2021. I sometimes do lose track in terms of what's topical and what's trending or what's current, because I know I'm an empath. So as an empath, I get so emotionally charged and engaged that if I get so caught up in politics, in current events, it drains my energy very quickly because I get easily taken and immersed and soaked up. Yes, Tandy, where you'll get an opportunity to ask questions. So just make sure that your questions are on, you're ready and you've got your questions ready. So, beloved tribe, last week I had a most incredible teaching. I could feel it in me that I was on another level when I was speaking about, does Lozi choose our partner? Because I broke it down to the T. Um, and I wouldn't want to say unfortunately, but as Lozi once said, it wasn't saved. So holding thumbs like this, I'm holding thumbs like this, that tonight's one is going to be saved. And we're going to be able to, yeah, Togozakok. Yeah, the Instagram crew. Actually, I'm looking at this. I'm like, yo, I lost a lot of weight. I'm so skinny now. When I'm looking at myself and I'm looking at my silhouette, it's so small. It's so small. But losing off the weight is about shredding off that which your body doesn't need. There was a lot of weight I was carrying emotionally, and a lot of weight, when you carry emotionally, it also becomes weight that consumes your body. It becomes physical. But I wanted to do a recap for those who didn't get an opportunity to be on part one, but also so that it can build to part two. Because part two, I want to get to some signs of, is this person my partner? I spoke earlier on about we are not separate from Lozi. Lozi being our ancestor, for those who might not know what I mean by Amadlozi, because we are spirit beings having a human experience, and a lot of spiritual teachers speak about it. Your Wayne Dyer, your Eckhart Tolle, your Sadhguru, in the variety of their teachings in Louis Hay, because I was trained as a heal your life teacher. Subsequently then I went to do coaching, but at different types of coaching. I trained in relationship coaching, so really helping people be in healthy relationship was one of the qualifications that I have. I'm not a psychologist, but I'm very interested and passionate about psychology, because the human psyche impacts a lot of our function, our well-being, how we carry ourselves, how we function, how we also show up in relationships. So I'm really always invested in understanding, and I've also understood that part of me being invested in psychology is because I was trying to understand what informs my decisions, what informs how I love, what informs whom I choose to love, what informs whom I choose to be in a relationship with. And this is in general, it's not only in intimate relationships. What informs me letting go and letting come when it comes to relationship, meaning how I make friends, find friends, let go of friends, family members, and also intimate partners, including also colleagues and people I work with, um, employees, colleagues, etc. And I've always been interested in how come I do particular things, and the interest normally comes when things have to fall apart or the relationship doesn't end well, because deadly endings are brutal and so painful. Either we bury ourselves in the pain, or in the burial of the pain, we do not really understand that we are not really being buried. We are actually just planting seeds that are going to teach us and show us new ways of being, so that we can come out of that situation healthier in ourselves, so we can relate much more better. Because one thing that I've also learned is that it is very difficult for people to be in any form of a healthy relationship if they don't have a healthy relationship with themselves. So how they see themselves and how they perceive themselves, also then leads to whom they do attract, because you're either going to attract somebody who's going to actually affirm that strongly in you, or actually make you question, or make you see something about yourself that you have not yet realized. So if you already are seeing yourself in a negative light, so if you criticize yourself a lot, chances are you're going to attract a lot of people from work space to home space to lover space who will always be quite critical. Because I do strongly believe that, yeah, my eye twitches and my eye went, but it twitches very small. So, those who are in the Instagram live yesterday, I said to you, Nshawuvalo, and my eyes are making, like I get twitches in the body, something uneasy is going to happen. And I woke up to some uneasy news. So the gift of being a healer is that you know your signs, and things, and when they unfold, it's still sad, but and then you are on the edge and just waiting for it to happen, or waiting for it to be said, so you can actually just go on back to your normality. But it's being gifted, and it's being part of a healer, that these things happen. So back to relationships. For me, it's very important for us to understand that if a relationship itself is one, can I ask that we mute the questions, because I get distracted. So if we can mute the questions, and then I'm gonna open in like the next half an hour questions. So if we are not in healthy relationship with ourselves, it's most likely impossible to be in healthy relationships with other people, because healthy relationships begin with understanding you, me as Udineo, and by understanding me and what me is and how I love me is also sets a trajectory, or an example that says, this is how I want to be loved, because I wouldn't want to be gifted a type of love that I don't know how to give myself. The problem is that we get into relationships hoping people fulfill or feel a need which we are seeking, but we are wanting from somebody else. We get into relationships because we are hoping that somebody is going to complete us. We're getting into a relationship hoping that somebody is going to heal us. We get into the relationship with expectations. And expectations are what really becomes a huge problems in relationship, because expectations are also things we are aspiring for ourselves but unexpressed. So you'd hope that your partner stands up for you, but you never express that actually I love a partner that stands up for me. And how have you not expressed it? You don't need to verbalize it. How do you show up in a relationship where you stand up for yourself? When something happens and you are able to articulate and express yourself assertively, as a way of showing your partner that this is how I would love to be treated, because people treat us how we teach them to. Whether we do that consciously or unconsciously, because conscious is something that's intentional, I know, but unconscious is also how we react to certain situations, especially when we are in turmoil, or when you're in a fight, we get triggered and we react, but we also leave a mark to a person who's in a relationship with us to say, this is how you treat me, right? So if somebody, for example, cheats on you, and you make it not a big deal, you said to them infidelity is it's acceptable, right? And that's why you find that there is things in relationships that keep on repeating themselves, and the person will always say sorry because you have made certain behaviors acceptable. So when things do go wrong, also ask yourself, how have you allowed them to go wrong? Especially if they are repetitive, if they are the same things, because you can sit here and say, Gogo, this person has done X and X, and it's not for the first time, it's for the third time, but you've made it acceptable. You've made it okay. Because the minute something that happens and it's an unpleasant experience, and you know that is not how you want to be treated, you stand up for yourself and say, this is not going to happen. And, you stand up and you speak up. And by standing up, you speak up and you say, this is a boundary that I'm creating. So a lot of times is that we find ourselves in relationships where we feel like we are held hostage, you know, and my partner is not changing, my partner is not doing this, but you're not looking at what needs to change in you, because you've created a fertile ground for that type of behavior to grow. And I'm saying this because when I speak of you as needing to have a healthy relationship, it starts with having a healthy spiritual relationship with yourself. And a spiritual healthy relationship with yourself means it's one that is also connected to your ancestors. So if you are not having a healthy spiritual relationship with yourself, then Lozi allows for certain relationships to come into a space to teach us that we need to be able, because if you are not spiritually grounded and spiritually rooted, you are easily going to fall prey for toxicity, exploitation, and manipulation. Because what happens is that you then are not when you are not spiritually grounded, one is that your intuition is very muted or low. So the inner voice, your voice of discernment, becomes quite lower when it's supposed to guide you that actually this is a red flag, this is a warning sign, run, don't even look back. Because don't have a healthy relationship with your spiritual self, you are not able to even see certain things or hear certain things, or even when they get shared, you are still in doubt because there isn't healthy a relationship. And a spiritual health relationship with yourself. Yeah, what's up? No, some no. You know, so it's those things. I thought I put the kids to bed. But guess what? She came and was telling me, Guti, the little brother did something. So I hope that you are following me here. So Lozi is part of you. You are not separate from Amadlozi. Lozi is part of your higher self. Your higher self is your God self. That's the part of you which is God image. So Lozi, when it's sitting with you and one at God's image, it means when you are attracting particular relationships, when you were at your higher self before you manifested into your physical entity, you've made certain agreements, you've made certain arrangements to help you, remind you of your higher self purpose. And relationships play an incremental part in our awakening to our purposes. Hence they become so difficult, hence they become so challenging, hence they become so painful, hence they become so we become so immense in our relationships, because they are not just formulated just to feed the physical. They're not just about the sex. They're not just about the material, but they are also about the spiritual. Whether we are signing up for them in that way or not, you find people who says, okay, no strings attached. We're just gonna be able to, this is no strings attached. It's just about helping each other out and fulfilling our sexual needs. Jiggy jiggy, one of the person is now deep in love. They are so attached and they're into it, because you as Dineo and Opa might have agreed that no strings attached, but Dineo's spirit might have actually agreed to it at a higher level. So Dineo's spirit might have said, I'm gonna allow for Dineo to have this interaction with Opa at a just purely that agreement, but for us to awaken her to her calling, or to awaken her to something greater outside of herself, we're gonna allow, or she's gonna end up falling for Opa. And then when she goes into Opa and to say, hey dude, Mina, this is how I'm feeling, Opa rejects her. And that rejection, Dineo feels heartbroken, betrayed, all sorts of things. But then if Dineo then fights the feeling, she feels that the hurts, the pain, and doesn't sit in it to heal it, she either reacts as a victim or a villain. And those two are the same thing, just different types of the coin. Then Dineo repeats the cycle, because here she is feeling a victim and how Opa took advantage of her. I'm just using an example. Opa took an advantage of her and gave her all, and this is what happened. Or Dineo becomes a villain and is like, I'm going to show Opa who I am, because Opa really doesn't know who I am, because I'm going to show up myself, because I'm going to prove to this man. But when you are healing, then you are saying, what is the lesson that I need to learn? What is the gift that this was bringing for me? Because by sitting in the pain so you can heal it, is also by taking accountability for your own blind spots, by taking accountability for where you've missed the mark, by taking accountability for your part in it, so your ability to respond moving forward can be much more better and much more stronger. I hope you are following me here. So when we speak about, do Amadlozi choose our partners Yes, at our higher self, where Lozi is also one with us, it is created and it is formed way before we are even born. So this is what needs to happen, what you need to understand, right? That all relationships come because there are three things to be fulfilled, right? One, a relationship comes because it's there to serve a particular reason. Number two, it is there to serve a particular season. Number three, it is there because it is meant to be for a lifetime. So let's focus about seasonal and reason relationships with Lozi. So you do meet somebody. So let me speak, and I love using myself as an example. So when I met a guy I dated a few years ago, I met him and he led me to the path of Black consciousness. He led me to the path of Africanism because I just came back from Christianity. So I didn't really know much about Africanism and Black consciousness. So our relationship lasted for about 18 months, right? He's come to serve me for a reason. The reason was to reconnect me back to my African identity and an understanding of who I was as an African child. So that when the relationship ended, it was turmoil. And the relationship ended peacefully. It ended with, I see this is not working, I gotta go, but I have sensed it because there's, for the very first time being in a relationship, my intuition started to become so active and so alert. You see, the reason he's come to serve is that he came to mirror the healer that I was becoming, but I was not aware of it. So I remember when, even when we broke, when we, you know, the weekend we broke up, we were supposed to go to his home. But before I even arrived, because I was traveling, I think I was in Zim, and I came back to South Africa. We had plans to go visit his relatives in Winterveld. And I remember feeling like something is off. And I remember that our relationship is not the same because I was gone for 2 months. I went to Zambia and I went to Zim. So when I came back and I was the one saying, oh, we need to go, we need to go. But he wasn't as keen as I was. Anyway, we went. And what was even a stronger signal that I still somewhat muted is when we went there and when we had to come back, he said he's not coming back. We were using taxis. I was in Winterveld. I've never been. He allowed for me to go and come back alone. And he said he needs to stay back. But he wasn't even keen to go in the very same place. When I got off a taxi rank in Alex, a voice said to me, your relationship has ended. Kuphelile. Right? And I was like, okay. When he came to see me later, because he came later the same day, when he came to see me later, he then told me that it's time to call the relationship off. And because, you know, I've always been a survivor, I just said, okay. And he said, you're just going to say, okay. I'm like, yeah, what do you want me to say? You already made up your mind if you don't. You know, and he gave me all the reasons why he was breaking up. My dad didn't like him. You know, I had a Jewish friend that my dad rather preferred I dated a white man, etc., etc. And I said, cool. I said, well, I'm not going to change your mind. But that was my reaction. I numbed myself from the pain that I was feeling when I got dumped by somebody that I deeply loved. And I was like, cool, go away. But it hit me so deeply. And I now have realized a pattern that I have not yet broken, that I'm sitting and working with. Because I'm saying closer relationships are about evolving and awakening you to be better, first with self as a physical, but also at a spiritual level. That actually, since him, yes, I have never broken off, or I never broke up and got a mourning and grieving period to also help me detach. So when you break up with somebody else, you need a mourning process to grieve, because you coming together with that person, and especially if there's been intimacy, meaning there's been, sexual encounters with that person, you leave an imprint of each other on each other. So when you go through grieving and mourning, meaning when you step back after the breakup, instead of move on and carry on with somebody else, you give yourself healing period. You're giving yourself time and space to also cleanse yourself and get rid of that person's energy field, not only physically but also psychologically and emotionally, because this person, you and them had a way of showing up in a relationship. You had your own rhythm and your own dance. So if you do not sit back and heal that which you had with that person, if you don't go through the grieving process, you carry that imprint into the next relationship. Hence, you find people being angry, like umuntu, you say something and they get triggered because they haven't healed. So they go into a new relationship with triggers. And what I mean is that even if you can stay 2 years, 3 years without being in a relationship, but if during that period you are not detoxing, so you are not acknowledging the pain, you are not sitting in the pain, you're not healing, you're not talking, you're not doing the work to raise you to a level of self-awareness of that actually my part that broke this relationship is this and this and this. Therefore, I'm going to heal and change this and this about my behavior. Because irrespective of what happens, it takes two of us to tango. So even if the other person did this or is the one who was in the wrong, what is your part in which that has went wrong, so that when you can acknowledge and take accountability for your part in it, you can show up differently next time. You do not make anybody do anything out of character. They make their own choices. But what have I allowed? What have I enabled in my okaying certain things that have made these behaviors be what they are, which made this person be or act in a particular way? It's not to take responsibility for them. It's to take responsibility for yourself. Dinawa part 1 is not saved. That's why I'm doing a recap. I'm beginning with a recap. So we didn't save part 1. So that's why it's important. So the ones that are coming, the ones that are coming, please, beloveds, we got 378. I always ask this all the time when I come on live. Please like the video, share it, get people who are not watching to watch it. You can quickly send it to somebody. That's what I love about YouTube, because you've got a little bottom icon where it presents says share this live. You can share it and then people can come in, because apparently by liking it, it makes it easier for the algorithms. So even somebody when is googling stuff, or is searching something on YouTube, they can find the video, because these teachings are to really help us be better people. When we are better, we do better, and when we do better, it means we show up better in relationships. So it is one of the most important aspects for us as human beings, because connection, when we are connected, we awaken a portal of our higher self somewhere. So the God in us becomes awakened like this when we are connecting, when we are that's why people say I have a connection, or my connection with you is this. No, and sometimes they don't mean uguti, it's connection because we have to get into a physical. And I spoke about this physical sexual relationship. Sometimes we miss the mark, and we get so caught up in the connection that our bodies feel it, and we think that our bodies are asking for it to be satisfied. But our bodies are feeling it because spiritually something has been ignited, but it's just a physical manifestation of spirit being on fire, not a body asking for sexual engagement. I hope I'm making sense. The body is not asking for it, but because we've been programmed to believe that if our body acts in a particular way, that's why also with children who experience sexual assault or sexual abuse, is that because their bodies get physically stimulated. If you get abused and then you orgasm, or you ejaculate as a boy, you become guilty, because you're like, why is my body feeling so good? And not understanding that sometimes it's just an auto response. It doesn't mean you want it. So similarly, even when you are in a relationship or getting a connection with somebody and it becomes a sexual attraction, you think it is about that, but it's not about that. It is about an awakening. And that's why it's important to have a healthy relationship with self, because if you are not self-aware, you're going to end up feeling that connection and wanting to engage with every person who gives you the goosies, who gives you goosebumps, have rashes all over your skin. But that person might be stimulating a spirit in you, an awakening in you, that if you are present, you can listen to the body but not act to fulfill the needs of the body, because they might get in the way of the higher purpose, and it might shorten a season of a relationship, because the reason that person has come to serve is for a higher purpose. But because then you get to move 20 steps ahead, the season that you're supposed to have with that person becomes short-lived. Because season, it means once a person has served the time with you, the relationship will fall away. But it normally, because this is how you identify resonance season relationship, and I have been speaking about it, already. One is that the connection is instant. So it's like that person you meet for the very first time, and it's like, wow, right? It gives you shivers. Like, when they sing love songs and they say, Shiva, you give me Shiva, you give me Shiva. And we think that's what love is. Sometimes love is not a Shiva. It's just a deep feeling of, I feel this deeply. But it doesn't need somebody else to say, I love you too, for it to feel real. You love them irrespective of whether they love you or not, because your love for them is not determined on how much they love you. I hope I'm making sense. So you think it's the Shiva. It's an instant connection. It is very stimulating. And things move on. They move quite fast with those things. And if we are not slowing down to pay attention and pause and say, okay, this is good. We went out for drinks. We started speaking every day, all night. In the next 2 weeks, I'm wanting this. And then 3 weeks later, I speak about you being in Indlovukazi or my king. I've already saved you as my love 3 weeks into the relationship. There's the speed in which it goes in is too fast. And they say speed kills. It's just too fast. There hasn't been time to get to know the two people who are feeling so excited about each other. There hasn't been time to explore what is this excitement, what's being ignited, because excitement is about ignition. What has been ignited in you, because people are mirrors. So it moves very quickly and very fast, and then 6 months down the line, we're getting married, or we are now, Instagram best couple, or we becoming the it in a very short space of time, in a time where we haven't gotten to know each other. And this is what distinguishes a Dlozi sent relationship. So all relationships are Dlozi sent, but they're not all meant to serve a lifetime. There's some meant for a reason and for a season. So one thing you need to get clearer is, don't think because it's Dlozi sent is meant to serve you for a lifetime. And that's what makes it difficult for people to detach, because they'll say, oh, I still dream of that person. So Gogo, does it mean we need to get back together? No, you dream of them because you still have unhealed and scars from that relationship. You dream of them because all you ever think about is them. You dream of them because you had a life together, so they stay in your memory. You dream of them because, but does not necessarily mean you dream of them because they're coming back. And it might be, so that's how you distinguish. And this is what you could do for yourself, because with a lifetime partnership, it doesn't give you goosebumps. It takes a lot of work to build it. It takes time and patience, because do you know what your partner is like when they are angry? You're gonna marry them, but you've never seen them angry. Do you know what they do when they are broke? Do you know what they do when they've got lots of money? Do you know what they are like when they are sick? So you've not seen them at their highest and at their lowest, but then you're off to the altar getting married because you've been dreaming about each other. Of course you will dream about each other, because you are spiritual beings having a human experience. Dreams are messages of the spirit. So if you're a spiritual being, it means spirit will always bring you messages, but it does not necessarily mean that now let's go and walk down the aisle forever. Even people who walk down the aisle forever, it's never for a lifetime, because sometimes we marry seasonal people thinking it's a lifetime people. Sometimes you marry the roots, but you marry the leaves, but they're going to fall off the next season. And you didn't know that they're not that. The minute the tough gets going, when you start being in a marriage, because a wedding and a marriage are two different things. Marriage is it's work. You always have to put the work, and not work in the marriage, but continuously work at yourself, because how you show up impacts the relationship. Are you feeling me? Are you following me? And these things I've learned because I have been in, actually, like now this week I'm saying actually most or all of relationships are Dlozi sent. Because, last week I spoke about a certain relationship, and now I'm retracting even before I got married to the man that actually awoken the healer in me. Because now that moment where I understood good, kusho ukuthi mina ngiyaboniswa and ngizwa izinto, you know, this is what. And at the time I kept on being told that this guy is not for you, you know, nesinyama and into zakho ziyavaleka. But I wasn't understanding, because that's the reason my dad didn't like him. And he said, I don't like, it's not like I don't like him, I just don't like, you know. But we took it as my dad has a vendetta or an issue with this guy, because at the time I wasn't really closified. Now I am, so I know when somebody says something. And trust you me, it's still a learning curve, because when I left, when we decided to separate in my marriage, you know, the aunt did say, give me uguti, uyazi uguti angeke nje uphume kwandlanzi. Wathi mina, you know ukuthi abantwana bazogula, this thing is going to affect your kids. And I was like, oh, auntie, please, you know, really, you know, you are so 1856. And this was me as a sangoma, because you know I'm not traditional, I'm spiritual. But I was so unconscious that I was actually listening from years of being hurt and pained and bruised as a partner in a relationship. I wasn't listening to the guidance of an elder. And I spoke about this last week, you know, to say that when you get married, when people say lobola is not relevant, it's because we've made it transactional. And lobola was actually about the coming together of the family, so there can be a support system to the couple. So when we are about to get married, we call everybody else. But when we separate, it happens between the two of us. We even stop everybody in our family from talking to our partners, because now we've got issues with our partners. But these are the people whom I need to be stepping in. The malumes and the rakhadis that went to negotiate your lobola, these are the people when the tough gets going, when the fire is blazing in the kitchen, you ask them to help you put the fire out. You ask them to mediate. So when Auntie was saying that to me, I honestly, and I'm learning it, I actually got my epiphany moment last year when my child got diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. And I'm not saying, because that's a, you know, that's a genetic disorder. I'm not saying, Guti, no, it is not medical, it's spiritual. No, it's not an either or. But what I'm really saying is that if I listened to the aunt and I said, maybe there's something to what she was saying, I tried to go get divorced twice, if not 3 times. It didn't work, because you see, in our pain, we are reactive. In our pain, we want anything to help us feel better. And sometimes we make drastic decisions that without thinking, and then we get stuck and we sink. Right? Because since that, I've had 2 relationships that never worked out. Right? And and I did say, Guti, yes, and I listened to my ancestors, but my ancestors are not only in spirit, but my ancestors are the elders that exist in my family. And in the time of that, I muted my ears of the voices of my family members, because I knew how much they loved the idea of us being together. Even when we told them, because everybody was like, what happened? What? No, you guys cannot be telling that. But we knew we were both in pain, and we needed whatever we needed at that time to really numb the pain. We needed a pacifier. And when we were told that that pacifier might not be a solution, we rebelled against it. Right? And I'm not saying that you know, there's no blame here, but I'm looking at it, I'm like, you know, what were the, you know, I was told this, if the tough gets going, I should call them, but I didn't call them. When the tough got going, I spoke to my friends. I spoke to people. When the tough got going, I spoke to those who were closest to me. I didn't go reach out. When the tough got going, I was even pissed at his family. So you need to understand, and this is mostly for people who are in committed relationships, that there is a role of elders in relationships that will make us really see things that we are not seeing right. Issues of spirituality are complex. There are certain rituals that are performed that are not as easily reversible as we might want them to be. Hence, you don't commit to something that you're unsure about. I mean, one thing I realized that actually when I was young, I never really wanted to be married and be a Mrs. I always wanted to retain my maiden surname, but I wanted to be in a committed relationship. No, I know they choose side, but there's always that elder. I mean, there was, of course, there were the ones who were at the negotiating, but there was an elder from his family side who was very neutral. And I've been to him before when I had issues with my mother-in-law, and I've seen how neutral he's become. Right? There are people, because you understand, Guti, even Abakongi, People think we don't have a voice when lobola happens, and women don't have a voice. You do. You sit down with your family and you also say, this person I know that will best represent not only my interest, but my interest in staying in a healthy relationship. You know, so it's not, to that uncle who's by us all the time. So when your dad says the uncle, you're like, yes, but I would like, I know with me, even with my lobola money, I had a conversation with my dad, and my dad listed all sorts of things like, oh yeah, but you went to an American school and you didn't have a child. I'm like, but how does that make me a better woman? How does that make me love better? If those things are going to add value, yes, me being educated is for my own goodness so that I can have and do for myself, but it does not make me a better lover. It doesn't make me a great wife. It can add an attribute, but it's not a quality. And these are some of the things, because I had a conversation, because we were young when we got married. We were very young when we got married, and we got married because we had our second son, our second child. I mean, when we had our second child, like, okay, we got to commit, because my mother was refusing that my children use their father's surname. They're not until things are done the right way. But I also understand that actually mothers also have their own agendas. It's just that didn't want her child to be two kids unmarried. Those things, because so she wanted the wedding so that the world can see that her daughter is married. There's a lot of things that we need to really unlearn and learn new ways of being, so that we can really be in true, authentic, loving relationships as people, right? So if we don't understand essences of certain cultural practices, we're going to misuse them, we're going to abuse them, and they're going to move us from the very same thing that we're trying to get towards. Then we're going to go and blame mythos. I said, beloveds, like attracts like. You are attracting people whom are coming to mirror that which you are seeking for yourself. You are attracting somebody who's going to, mirror a wound unhealed that you have ran away from or you have buried. You are going to be attracting somebody who is mirroring your potential or what is possible with you. Every relationship, it's a mirror. Every relationship, it's a mirror. Yes, I'm a little bit tired. I was at an event today and I had to play mommy and all of those things. So I almost actually slept and didn't do the stream. And I was in Dumbe next day, so I was practicing. So I was working all day. But I'm saying that we need to understand that we are attracting mirrors. If you can listen and not ask me questions, you'll get where I'm getting with this. If you can listen, you will get where I'm going with this. If you're not listening, you're going to be asking questions because you're trying to fulfill an emptiness within you. I'm not here to fulfill you. I'm here to enlighten you. I'm here to educate you. I'm here to shed insights. So if you could sit, Senzo, if you can sit, Gangani, those who are asking questions, and listen, because the things you're asking me are things I might be getting into. Because you're not listening to understand. You are hearing me to question me. So pay attention, be attentive. So I was speaking about risen and seasonal relationships and how you can identify them. Instantaneous. Things are spontaneous, they're quick, you can never get away from each other. It's like you want to spend and you are talking to each other all day, every day. It's not necessarily meaning every relationship is going to be like that, but I'm saying when things move too quickly, too fast, right? When there is deep attachment, it's a problem. Because attachment is an addiction. An addiction is it is a masking of a pain. Because when we are addicted to something, we are running away from something. When somebody needs to be with you every day, all day, because a healthy relationship is where we are together, but we also enjoy our time away from each other. Because I need to be in retreat. I need to be in solitude. I need to work on Dinewo. Dinewo needs to be a better version of herself. So if you're needing Dinewo to always be there and show up all the time, every time, and we are always talking and everything, and we're saying we're building a bond, yes, it's important, but it can't be that this is a must. If it doesn't happen, it's a deal breaker in a relationship. Because when the relationship becomes demanding to a point where you are losing your sanity and you are finding that you have to change yourself, you don't change because your partner is asking you to change. You are changing because you see it fitting for you. Love is about I love you as you are. You know, I said last week, Uguti, you know, one of the things that Nkunum Kashwa used to say to me, Uguti, I love you more when you are least deserving, and I love you mostly when you are imperfect. And I think for me, love allows for us to be imperfect because we grow from our imperfections. Because if we are perfect, then there's no growth, then we cease to exist. You know, and that's the things. And for me, that's when I say to a lifetime relationship, some of the signs is where somebody is genuinely interested in helping you become a better version of yourself at your own pace. So somebody who constructively works with you to build you, not criticize you so you can be what they want you to be. Because when a partner starts to say to you, Guti, you know, for you to be my woman or for you to be my man, you gotta be able to do this and this and this for me. So if you're not providing this, it means you don't love me enough. The minute there's too many conditions, that's not a lifetime. That's not a lifetime. Love that is full of conditions and expectations is not a lifetime. But true, genuine love is when you are mostly vulnerable. Somebody can hold space. I saw somebody's post saying that there is 3 words that are, you know, are more powerful than I love you. I think it said, how can I be here for you or something. Or something, how can I be here from you? Or I hear you. I don't remember the correct words. But these are some of the things. Lifetime relationships have challenges, right? They build organically. They develop organically. Please remember to like the video, subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and on Twitter. I'm Coco Dineo, because some of the teachings that I do them, you know. My kids. Okay, I was going to ask them to say, please lower the volume because they know I'm doing a stream. So these lifetime relationships are where we can actually allow each other to shine. Lifetime relationships is when another person grows, we don't feel intimidated by it. Whereas, Spusiso, I'm doing a stream and your music is loud. I'm sorry, guys. Yes, I'm gonna save the video. So lifetime relationships are also about both of us consecutively growing each other. They're about a partnership, not a rulership. They're about a partnership and not a rulership. And lifetime relationships are more accepting and receptive of the people or the person that we are. And when they are supposed to support you in your growth, there is a level of gentleness and genuineness that goes with it. Not criticism, not pulling you down, not manipulating you into doing things. And seasonal relationships are one where in the season of the relationship, things are at peak. Like Zakuma, right? Zakuma. So let's take, because I'm speaking about, let's take you go out on dates, manyazini, you're together all the time. Zakuma. When the season dies off, that which has connected you together, maybe it was a song that came on, maybe it was your shared interest of that you've just discovered Coco Dinero, maybe it was that you both love a particular soccer team. When the season ends of that, when that moment ends, or that which has brought you together, that cycle ends, it falls off. You know, it starts to fall off. Whereas lifetime relationships, that every season they rejuvenate themselves and they are accepting of the winter of the relationship. So when they don't run away. Seasonal relationship is when things get tough, the other one is ready to give up and walk away. Or seasonal relationships don't want to deal with difficulty because it's always about peaks. When it's seasonal, it's about peak. It's about the summer times. It's when the grass is greener. You can see a seasonal relationship when you no longer have the money that you used to have when you met. You know, that's what I mean about seasonal relationship, is that when how is your partner like when you are broke? How is your partner like when you are angry, when you are sick? It's how they show up in the low moments of the relationship that you start to tell yourself, this is not for a lifetime. This is a season. But they feel we connect to seasonal relationship deeply, because they need to be that deep to serve the season. So we need to be invested in making sure it rains, so that the grass can remain greener, because it's summer. The grass in summer does not supposed to be. But a lifetime embraces all the season. When the grass is brown, we are still loving each other, we're supporting each other. So meaning when one of us no longer can bring 10 times the bacon on the table, I'm not going to leave you because some man can provide or some woman can cook better. I'm going to understand that my partner right now is unwell to provide whatever that they used to provide in the season in which we met. So that is how you start to distinguish the two. I've given some pointers. And people always ask, Guti, yeah, but if you're spiritually gifted, why are you struggling with relationships? If you are not in a healthy relationship with yourself, you will always be attracting, most cases, people who are gifted, they attract things that they need to heal within themselves. They attract broken people because that's one of the first signs you know that you are gifted, because they see the healer in you. People who are deeply wounded are very much attracted to empaths. And at a spiritual level, it's because the other sees the healer and the other sees the one that seeks healing. But because we are in a relationship, not in awareness, unconscious, we go like this. But at first, because the attraction is like, wow, look at Coco Dinero, wow. And I'm like, wow, look at this person, so much potential, so much I can do with them, and we can do together, we dream. Seasonal relationships are full of dreams and not actions. They're full of promises, but nothing really comes. It's about, yeah, baby, we're going to start this company, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. But when the work has to be put in, it's not put in. It is really not put in. Seasonal relationships is one partner does most of the work than the other partner. There is no equal share of responsibility. So we get broken. Remember, I said people, if you're risen, so a risen comes with a lesson. So if you've attracted somebody who's broken and wounded because you had to be awoken into the healer that you are, if you are not learning the lesson, then you'll be brought another person, because the cycle will repeat itself until the reason in which you are supposed to learn from those relationships has manifested. You cut off the cycle. Am I making sense? So it's not even about them. This thing was just about you. A soul contract you had to say, I'm going to attract this particular person, because trust me, a percentage of people who come to see me is because a relationship has went very sour. Because also seasonal relationship, they fall off. Their endings are dramatic. It's an inferno. Somebody just walks away, packs their bags, and like, what happened? Because they sometimes leave when things look like we've just made peace. I know we fought 2 weeks ago, but it looks like we're finding our rhythm again, and they leave. And seasonal relationship leave because a new season has started. It's because the grass is greener on the other side and your grass has gotten browner. So it's those ones where there's easily replacing of people. But I said, Uguti, with risen relationships, there are deeper lessons. So I'm a risen relationships, when the risen is, it prolongs the season, and a relationship with the risen might also be for a lifetime. But a season is just for a season. It's for winter, summer. Somebody comes because you're heartbroken and they've come to help you heal. And once you've healed, the relationship falls away. Somebody comes because they found you doing this or you were confused. So that is a seasonal relationship. It is not meant to last for a lifetime. But a reason can lead to a lifetime of a relationship. What do you mean, any regrets? Regrets with what? Regrets come from guilt, and guilt is one of the emotions that I've been working on, and I feel really, right now, there's very less guilt. So every time I don't, because it doesn't help. Doesn't help to feel guilty, doesn't change. There's no regrets, but there's lots of lessons. I've learned a lot of lessons. So I'm opening up for questions. How do you change that seasonal relationship? But I just told you, the season, once it accepts itself, it goes, Karabo. Why would you want? Winter is gone. And when winter comes the next season, it does its things differently. This winter and the next winter not the same. Is it possible to have more than one person is the one? There can only be one life partner, but you can have many seasonal partners. And many people can come for a reason. But we tend to spoil things because we tend to, when I spoke about earlier on about, if you just join me, I'm going to save this. Go and listen again. Oh, beloveds, remember to like the video, subscribe, put your notifications on, follow on Instagram, because who knows, when I come out of here, I might go to Instagram. Somebody's asking me the books I read. Let me show you one of the books. It's almost done. Do you see? Women Who Love Too Much. There's another book I'm going there. Truth Heals. We are not truthful in relationships. We're not truthful. We know it in our gut when something has ended, but we want to push it through because remember, seasonal relationships, there's that intense feeling, the intimacy is good, or the sex is good, and the love making is good. Like there's all this hard thing that happens that it feeds the flesh and our ego so much, because lifetime relationship, there's a lot of truth, even though it's uncomfortable, but it's supposed to be growing and grooming you for the greater reason. That's why the reason can be a seasonal. I don't know what you're asking me. Do a 21 seasonal work? I have no idea. Okay, beloveds, I'm here. I'm Rasa, about me. I come across it's controlling. I'm figuring out how. Okay, can your questions be? Yes, Coco, that's my approach to regrets are not worth it. Look at the lesson and take it from there. Is it possible for a relationship to go through all three, both parties evolve together? Does the reason change? No, remember I said the reason can build a lifetime. But a season is for that particular season. It's there to serve that moment. Could be that that person has come because they are there to help you, heal from a particular thing. When they say people are rebounds, so most rebounds are seasonal relationships. How do you balance going through companionship sex while you are going through the season and healing and working on yourself? The thing is that I was encouraged to go celibate, because part of my history is that I got sexually abused at a young age, and these were family members who were supposed to love and protect me. So I understood sex as love. So I needed to learn that is not. I needed to unlearn that violence and aggression is not love. And I haven't really, the more I started to do a lot of work on myself, because we can also use, sexual intercourse as a pacifier to pain, because it releases, happy hormones. I think it's endorphins. So it gives us that temporary relief from the pain that we're feeling, because we don't want to sit in the pain, then we want to use something. And some people is alcohol, some people is food. We're not wanting to sit in the pain. So when you are going through a process of self-love, you cut off certain things. You cut off a lot of things. You need to sit in the discomfort. It's very uncomfortable sitting in pain. Oh, trust me, it's painful. It's like you cry, but crying is very purifying. Thank you, Coco, for the wisdom. Okay. Such high maintenance. Yo. Gunzi, Mashem. Relationships are not complicated. People are. We make it complicated. I couldn't realize that I was in a seasoned relationship, but thanks, now I know. Okay, great. May you please explain the importance of ukukhunga idlozi? In what aspect? Because that's a very generic term. Because idlozi ulukhunga ngendlela ehlukile, and I'm not talking about ukukhunga idlozi. So if you can be a little bit more specific on that question, because I don't know what that was. Who's the author of Truth Heals? I don't know. I'll bring it because I haven't read it. It's a new book. It's a new book. It's a new book. But I'm sure once I read it to see if it's a good book, then that also helps. You know, that helps. This has helped me when it says women who love too much. It's a very beautiful book because it for me taught me about pathologies. How we love is from certain conditionings that we've had in our childhood. It was a very beautiful book. Can my partner choose two partners for one person? I don't know, hey? I don't know if they can choose two people at the same time. It's you know, if you want to listen to polygamy, polyandry, there's a stream where I speak about, you know, actually demystifying some stuff about it, because sometimes it's our own ego wanting what it wants, and we feel like Lozi is wanting that need. And for me, when Lozi wants you to be with two people, it means the people who are in the relationship with, or the first person you're in a relationship with, is also has to be made aware. Especially if sitabantu abadala, so meaning I dreamt that my ancestors want me to have a second wife, it means they have to show me as the first wife as well. And most likely it happens that way. You know, if my ancestors want the other husband, me to have another husband, it means they will show me. They have to show. I spoke last week about how I learned from, you know, an affair I had, because this person came, and I definitely was sent by Lozi. And I went on and had a relationship, but I was married, and my partner didn't know until when I had to be dropped off, and the truth hit me, and I was like, yo, but you can't drop off at my house, because what will my husband say? And I said, but you know, good, even if this thing, because he dreamt of me, I dreamt of him, and we didn't really we were not talking, you know. He came to me like wanting to be a client, and then eventually made a confession that I've been following you for 2.5 years. Sisi mina ngithumelwe idlozi ngizofuna umfazi. And I said, hey, lo mfazi omfunayo umfazi oshadile, I am married, what are we going to do? And I said, I told my ancestors, they are persistent, and started telling me deep stuff about my mother's ancestors that I had no idea. I asked my mother confirmed, but I guess that he also found me in a time where I was trying to figure out myself out, because, you know, marriages have dry season, and I think I was in one of the I just came out of a dry season in my marriage, and I was trying to explore and do different things, and I had that relationship, but it was an affair. It wasn't a closely sent, because my husband didn't know, you know, and I confessed afterwards. And I told the long story last week. I'm not going to repeat the story. Those who were here had my story about what happened with that relationship. I confessed, and the beauty at the time, then that's when I was told, Guti, I will love you more when you less deserve my love, because at that time I really didn't deserve it. Betrayal is very painful. I've been betrayed in relationships, and it's very painful. You know, it's very painful. And I've taken, you know, responsibility and accountability of, you know, I've had people betray me so much in intimate relationships. But I've also had people I work with betray me, and and at first I was like, oh, why are you betraying me? I gave you everything. I did this. But I attracted that because it's a seed of betrayal. I was vibrating at, I'm a deceiver spirit, and then I attracted, and that's how I work. When I attract something and something, I'm like, why me? I gave you everything. Yeah, people are people. You give them the world, you bring the moon and the stars, but they still are people who make their own decisions because they've got their own minds. So, you know, and that's when seasonal relationships also, when we go through dry seasons, and we don't want to sit in those dry seasons, or we don't want to confront, we suddenly start to attract seasons on the side, because you are in South Africa and it's winter or it's rainy, and all you do is busy, not even being present to the rain, and how am I going to navigate this rain? I don't like rain so much. Then you start really fantasizing about summer somewhere else, and summer shows up, right? Usama uzothi, yebo baba, noma awundlovukazi yami. Oh, your husband never called you ndlovukazi. And like, here's this man who's like, It was like, you queen, you know, you deserve. Ooh, guys, I'm a seasonal. Chamisto on levels. They're charming. The language, they are so seductive. Oh, God. Yeah, I've been there. Coco, do you think one can prolong a seasonal relationship? It could be severed too, but just know that the longer you prolong it, once it has served itself, it ends very brutally and very unpleasantly, and it's not nice. You know, so it's really not nice. So sometimes we prolong it because sometimes it's better you hurt less when you let go, you know. And sometimes to test if it's a, when you let go and you thought it was a seasonal relationship, it will come back, you know. It will come back. Some people, my parents broke out. I mean, my parents, they were together for a short time because they were teenagers, and when I was 2, my mother got married to somebody else, but at 18 my mom and my dad got back together. Yeah. And they've had very tough, it's been a difficult, you know, they've had their huge challenges, but they've stuck it through. And you know, I'm not gonna put my 2 cents there, but they found each other. Because lifetime relationship doesn't mean it's the happiest. It's got its very bad moments, as it's about how you pull through the most challenging times that really determines whether it served its reason, its season, or it's meant for a lifetime. When Josie has brought someone to you, nothing can change it. No, what is yours, it is yours. You know, don't fight it, don't chase it, don't force it, don't come out of this like, ooh, I think my Banbani is my lifetime now. No, no, let it go. Let it go. Let go and let Josie. If it is meant to be, it will come to you. What is meant to you, nobody can steal it, nobody can take it away, nobody can yeah, you know. So just understand what's meant for you will come to you in the right kinds of time. Some lifetime relationship have to take seasonal breaks because we were not seeing each other in a way we needed to do, because somebody has outgrown the other, and we need to step a little back to go rejuvenate and you know, re-energize ourselves, and we find ourselves again at emlanjeni. Angisho bathi ngizomthola emlanjeni. You'll find each other meeting yourself. Please remember to like the video, because I'm sure you're watching because you're finding the content important. Remember to like the video, share it, subscribe, follow Instagram, because I might go back depending on the time and continue this conversation on Instagram. Okay. Does lossy play a part in a loss of an attraction and sex with a partner? Normal reduced sex drive? Yes. Yes, 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 yes. And it doesn't mean, there are multiple reasons why that happens. One is that when your partner starts to be sleeping or seeing other people, you feel it. You don't, it's not in your head, it's not in your logical mind. Your body rejects the other person because, hey, you went and engaged intimate with somebody else. You've come and brought their energy and their DNA into our space, a sacred space that we've agreed. So what those will, then you lose your sexual, you know, appetite or your libido. That's one of the reasons, because there's been an uninvited guest in our bedroom. Reason number 2 is that because spirituality, I mean, sex is creator energy, right? It's there really to help us when you get into you know, when you get into a state of climax. It, people call it heaven, people call it godly, people call it all spiritual names. So that means that when you need to be actually be one with your higher self and your Lordzi, but you're busy then creating this thing, meaning continuously being in the flesh, it becomes a hindrance being in the spirit. Yes, seasonal relationships go through breakup because I'm sure you're not understanding itself this season. So you like winter and you come back again maybe the next winter, and these are the ones who would have even you know, yeah, yeah, you know. But also the reason number 3 where sex drive vanishes is because you need to step back from consuming things of the flesh and really feeding the spirit. So I've given the 3 reasons why it is like that. But I've also learned some of my sexual drive dropped when, if I'm in a relationship with a partner and they become this at that uninvited guest, my drop vele kubande nje ngezwe next but now I know, you know, and I know when somebody is higher, because sex is energy, and whom you engage with either is going to really help your energy go even higher, or drain the energy, or suck the energy out of you. Yes, I did say, you know, and please, this is only from my experiences. Nothing that I'm saying here is cut in stones. Take what serves you. Not everything is black and white in relationships. I'm just giving some insights, some education. How do I attract my life partner now? Ooh, are you sure you're ready for a life partner? I would want you to ask me, how do I become a better version of myself so I can attract my life partner? That which is meant for you, you don't chase it. It finds you at the right time where you have found yourself. That which is meant for you, you don't chase it. It comes to you at the time where you have found yourself. I hope I've answered you, the one who was asking me, how do I find my life partner? That which is meant for you, put a lot of time in investing in yourself. You don't look for life partners. Roots are deeply buried underground. Lifetime is like a root, so that you don't see it out there. It's not visible. Maybe somebody that already is there, but because you're busy chasing, you are getting the wrong person or the wrong people. Okay, any more questions? It's a lifetime. A lifetime never goes. It will come back. Trust the process. You see, the thing is that you can never lose. The trees don't get panic when the wind hits it, and a lightning strikes it, and the leaves fall away and the branches cut. The roots don't go like, oh my God, what's gonna happen to me? The trick is that, you know, when a tree has strong roots, it's not intimidated by the wind. It's one of the proverbs. I don't remember who's the author, but they say when the tree has strong roots, it doesn't fear the wind. So yes, some seasonal relationship, lifetime relationship comes in your seasonal relationship. There's something about the season that you need to be, it needs to serve so you can move on. And if it's a lifetime, it will always be there. It's not gonna go, you know, but sometimes we don't find who's a lifetime. We don't find that because we have not found ourselves. You know, that's a topic for another day. How do you support a spiritually gifted partner? It's a topic on its own. In both parties, Togoza Gogo, is it possible that your chosen partner can be gifted if you keep seeing him? Oh, yeah, yeah. I mean, yeah, it's possible. Yes. Nom Sevenzi, please code me that. I like that code. Write it on Instagram so I can keep it. Yes. Like the video, subscribe. Yes. I think I've shared. Do you want to have a part 3? Maybe I should do a does logic, you know, I think, I don't know, what is that thing, a Q&A on, or a poll, if people want to have a part 3. Okay, everybody wants, maybe we should have like relationship these days, and we can speak about all things relationships, because people love this topic. I know you love relationship topic. Yeah, okay. You know, I'm going to ask, because people were like, what makes this? Please look at my video of Istrito. That might help for you to understand certain things. I do have a video here that on sex and spirituality. I have a video on soul ties and soulmates. So maybe if you could look some of that content, some of the questions you're asking me. Yeah, so maybe, oh yeah, it's the month of love. So why can't, I mean, apparently it's the month of love. I don't know. We were all born told that it's a month of love. So maybe we focus on relationships. So next week we come back, you know. Maybe we come back and we do a part 3, Relationship Thursday. I like it. We got it. Relationship Thursday, you know, throw me a DM. Please, some things are not topics, and that's why I don't do it. Like somebody wants me to answer their question, like, why have I lost interest in my partner as a topic? It's not a topic. It's just a personal issue. And I do not give personal advice on Instagram. I hardly do. I do not interpret dreams on Instagram. You know, I come on Instagram to teach. I come here to teach. Anything else that you need as a one-on-one, you book a consultation to come see me, because I am a sangoma, I'm a life coach, I'm a spiritual coach, and not by just because I've been doing this for the longest of time, is because I also have some technical training to be doing coaching. I also do Heal Your Life, which is about taking your power back and taking responsibility. And those things have been a gift to me as Isangoma and as a person, because, as Udineo, I can get in the way of who I am as a Sangoma, because there's just a lot of unhealed stuff. So every year I'm realizing that I'm actually shredding off. And when I say let love leave, let love win, is because I want to get to a point that I love myself so much that whoever that chooses not to love me the same, I'm at peace with it. I want to love myself so much. Like, I want to love me so much. I just want to be so in love with myself that it doesn't matter who loves me. I can still make peace. I want to heal this little girl who didn't receive enough love from whoever, to be like, girl, I love you. I love you so much. I love you very much. That no matter who chooses to go, the season when it falls off, I can be at peace with it. When a reason has been served, I can accept it. When a lifetime shows up and is there, I can embrace it, because we jeopardize our own experiences, we jeopardize our own lives, because we do not love ourselves enough. And we wanting that we should be giving to ourselves from other people. And when they don't, we feel disappointed. But if you love you, and you know that love is the beginning of healing, and loving you is an incremental part, because when you love you, you are not going to stand for things that are going to hurt you, break you. You will not endlessly be forgiving somebody for 100 mistakes. That's what love is. Love is boundaries. Love says its no's assertively and its yeses assertively. Love doesn't doubt itself. Love doesn't criticize itself. Love does not shame itself. Love is not embarrassed. Love is not only speaking about I will be better if I lose weight. Love won't say that I'll be a better woman if I get this job or this problem. Love says that you are enough as you are. Love says you are beautiful. Love does not need me to wear makeup to feel beautiful. Love understands that makeup enhances my beauty. Love understands that the clothes I wear are just an expression of the beauty inside me, but they are not my beauty. That's what love does. Love forgives. Love forgives because it needs to give itself life back, because I cannot be holding on to a grudge and always thinking about what you've done to me. Because, hey, the more I give you space in my life, the more you occupy it and the more you infect it. Be careful of whom you surround yourself. They can either affect you, impact you, or infect you. Be careful who you associate with. Lifetime partnerships are going to impact you and affect you positively. Season, if you don't let go, they will infect you. Reason are very impactful because they have come to serve a higher purpose, and sometimes make peace when the reason is gone. So stay in love with you. Loving yourself is very important. Do not be fooled that, you will never, you are the love that you are seeking. You should be the love of your life, because once you become the love of your life, trust me, tribe member, you will attract the love of your life. You will attract that which you are seeking out there is within. And once you find it, once you discover the gold in you, then you easily can see gold in others, and gold can be seen in you because you have accepted it and you have embraced it. So you need to begin with you. So everything else begins with you. Love is not secretive, but yet it can be private, because seasonal relationships love showing off to the world, and because they only have a short lifespan, a very long lifespan, so they need to show off in the season in which they found their peak, right? So secretive and privacy are different. So love can also be private. Space is ding dong. I love you guys. I love you so much. Pray. It saves. It's a long one. I hope it saves. Even when you send people want them, it's a long one, because I was recapping last week. So for part 3, I'm not going to recap. Please make sure you watch part 2, because part 3 we're building. Part 4 we're growing. Part 5 we are really showing up as ready as we are. Part 5, we go back into loving self so we can show up as queens and kings that we are meant to be. We can then attract the love that is us. Every love you've attracted is a mirror of the love that you are. We can then attract the love that is us, one that knows how to treat queen like queen, king like king. I feel happy. I feel love. Oh, I love me. Oh, good night.